In this lesson, we're going to use one object as reference when we need that object shape on another object. All right, so here's what we're going to create. And you can see that we have a couple things going on here. We do have nice sharp edges down here on the bottom and on the top of this octagon here. And then we do have a sharp edge on this circle as well. But notice how it blends into the rest of the shape. So to start this off, we're going to do this a little bit different than we have in the past. Now, we could take a polygon cylinder with 8 sides and we could boolean it in here as well. But there's another method that we can go about to do this. So to start, I'm going to go ahead and split this up a little bit. So I'm going to select this edge. I'm going to control right click, go to Edge Ring Utilities, to Edge Ring and Split. Then I'm going to click on this edge and hit the G key to do that function again. And then I'll do the same in this direction. So we have a little bit of extra geometry in here. But the main thing is that we have this right here. We've got 8 sides, and so this will correspond to an 8-sided cylinder. So let's go ahead and create the cylinder, and I'm going to go ahead and turn wireframe unshaded, and we'll move this by snapping it right into there. And we'll take this and we'll change this to our normal subdivisions of 8. Now let's take this and we'll scale it up. We just want to match that, and if you want to match it perfectly, you can always go over here to the side view. And it looks like we did pretty good. You just want to scale that so it fits right in right there. Alright, now I'm going to take this object and I'm going to pull it down below our plane here. And I'm going to go to our top view. I'll turn our grid off so we can see a little bit better. So what we're going to do for this one is, rather than boolean this shape in, we're just going to use this shape as reference to create the geometry that we need in order to extrude straight up. So I'm going to grab some vertices and I'm going to hold down the V key to snap to point. Now more than likely by doing this we're kind of messing up these points in the y-axis, but that's okay. We can change them really quick, but this is a very, very fast way to do this. So if we look in here, you can see we did indeed mess these up because it took all these points and it snapped them to the bottom of this cylinder. So let's go ahead and delete the cylinder. This is no big deal. All we need to do is just grab all of these vertices and just snap them right back up to the top, and we get what we need. Now, we can leave these if we want. They are kind of jutting out at kind of a strange angle. So let's go ahead and do that really quick. We're going to end up changing this geometry in a minute, but just so you know, you should have this stuff nice and clean in here. All right, so we'll get all those centered. There we go. All right, now we have the geometry we need to extrude this shape up out of here. So we basically just did the exact same thing that we've been doing, we just didn't do it with a boolean. All right, so let's grab these faces and we'll go ahead and go to Edit Mesh, and we're going to extrude those up. I'm going to hit W to go to my Move tool. And I'm going to get that moving in that direction, and I'll go ahead and just snap it to this point right here. Then we can get the height on there. We do need to scale this in because you can see this is at an angle here. So we'll go to this view and we'll scale that to where it needs to be. All right, now we need this little lip right here. So let's go ahead and extrude that again. I can just hit the G key to do the last function, and then I'll scale that in a little bit. And again, I'll go to this view and I'll get this placed right where this meets this surface right there. Okay, I'll hit G again, and I'll bring this up to right about there, and we'll scale it in the same way. Okay, and looking at this, I think that we would want to bring this one in a little bit. So let's go back here. All right, so that looks good there. Let's grab these faces up on top here. And I'll hit my R key, There you go. Now we're matching that object perfectly. Okay, I'll go ahead and hit the G key one more time, and I'm going to scale this in so we get that lip. Then hit the G one more time, and we'll bring this one down. So there's the basic shape that we need. So now let's talk about beveling this. And what we're going to see is we're going to have a little bit of an issue down here on the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and do this bevel, but then I'm going to back up and we're going to do it a little bit different way. All right, so I'll double click on all these. So we've got that bottom row selected. Then we've got this row selected. I'm going to go to Edit Mesh, and I'm going to bevel those. Inside the bevel node, I'll go ahead and do 2 segments. Actually, we forgot one piece on this, so I'm going to back up, pardon me. We do need these ones in the mix as well. So we'll grab those. We need to remember that these hold a hard edge as well. So not only do we need the top and the bottom, but we need these corners. All right, so now we'll go in and we'll put a bevel on that. Go to our bevel node. We'll change this to 2. And you can see what happens here. We've got the same pattern. We should be familiar with this by now. So the same basic idea of the extra butterfly shape that's in here, right there. And then we're getting, kind of a weird little convergence of edges on this one as well. So the way that we've set this up really isn't the best way of going about this. I mean, we could go in and manually fix all of these. We would have to draw edges down here and another one in the middle, delete these diagonals, and then we'd have to fix all of this. So that ends up being a lot of work. So what we're going to do is I'm going to back up out of this, and these edges right here are the ones that aren't working out for us. Because we have them going off at this direction and this direction, those aren't necessarily going to work. So let's go to Mesh Tools, grab our Multi-Cut tool, and I'm just going to draw diagonals out, and that's going to work much better for us. So it's good to see, what choices you make and how it relates to everything that you model. So that's kind of why I left that in there. All right, so now we can simply just go in and grab all of these edges and we'll delete those. And I'm going to do a Control Delete because we want it to delete this vert right here as well. If I just hit delete, it's going to leave those verts, but now you can see that they are not there. All right, so now we can go ahead and get our bevel on this. So we'll grab that outer edge. We need all of these. And we need that one and that one. So we're going to hold this top corner on both sides, the inside. We're going to hold this and this, but now we need these ones. So adding this to the mix will take care of that converging that we had right there. And then by adding this, that will take care of that butterfly pattern that we had right there. So it's really, really good to know what's going to happen with your geometry before you do it. So you got to think a couple steps ahead on these. All right, so we've got everything selected that we need. We don't want any of this selected because this is the area that blends into the rest. So everything that we have here is going to be good. Let's go ahead and go to Edit Mesh, and we'll bevel this one more time. Go to our bevel node. We'll do 2 segments. Change our fraction to something like 0.2. And you can see that now in our corners, this is great. This is working perfectly. So is that right there. We're blending this in nicely. Let's go ahead and hit our 3 key. And you can see that we do have extra faces down here, as we always do. But since we hit our 3 key, we can clearly see the problems that we're having with our mesh there. We'll just grab all those and delete them. And there's our shape. All right, so in this lesson we learned that we can use geometry as reference objects to snap to get a shape on a completely different object, and we went over going through this bevel, getting it nice and tight on here, and blending this one right through. See you in the next lesson.